All right, 10th graders, welcome to our third lesson of period 5. We are looking at our other two Atlantic revolutions, the Haitian and the Latin American Revolution. Go ahead and get that down. We're still in period 5, 1750 to 1900. So we have Haitian Revolution and Latin American Revolution. This lecture is going to be in two parts. There's still going to be 2 questions per part, though. And as always, as you've been seeing, I'll be pausing regularly to let you guys catch up and to ask you guys questions. Cool, let's get started. First, we have Haitian Revolution, 1791 to 1804. I'll let you get that down. So our context of the Haitian Revolution, our background. Quick reminder, the Enlightenment plays a huge part in these revolutions, in the belief of natural rights and the equality of all people, the social contract and how government should be protecting people's rights, and popular sovereignty, about how people should have a say in who rules them, and overall the idea that if government is not serving people, then that means that people are allowed to get rid of that government and put in a government that does serve them, that does protect their rights. Cool, so that's the Enlightenment. Now we're going to go down to the colony of Saint Domingo. Haiti was founded by France. France took part in the Age of Exploration, took over this area we know today as Haiti, and founded the colony of Saint Domingo. Saint Domingo is located in what we consider today the Caribbean. Now, the whole purpose of Saint Domingo was to grow the cash crop sugar, which means slavery was very important to the island. In fact, almost all the natives who lived on the island were either killed by disease or overwork, and instead, many African slaves were brought in to work on the sugar plantations. This created a very harsh slave-based society in Saint Domingo. In fact, Haiti was considered one of the harshest of the slave islands. The social hierarchy of Saint Domingo could be separated into 4 groups. You have your plantation owners. You have the whites who do not own plantations. They're called the poor whites. They basically work for plantation owners or they own small businesses. You have the free blacks. Very few of them, but there are some free blacks who also work in small businesses or they work for plantation owners watching over other slaves. And then finally, you have the largest class of people, the slaves themselves. Overall, the way that this colony is set up is that everyone relies on slave labor. That means the rich whites, the poor whites, and the free blacks all treat the slaves very poorly. With that, though, most of the wealth is owned by the plantation owners. So even though the slaves are treated the worst, there is some united hate against the slave owners, the plantation owners, who own all the wealth and all the land. Finally, our context of the French Revolution. As we talked about, the French Revolution happens during the 1780s. Let me put up the real date on the thing. I'm sorry. In the moment, I forgot. But as the French Revolution happens, and the people of France are arguing that they deserve rights and equality, a big debate happens over what to do about the French colony of Haiti. After the king and queen are kicked out of rule, the new French government that is ruled by the middle class and the educated of France go, what if we truly believe in natural rights, does that also mean that the slaves get natural rights? And that was a big debate. But what happens in the French colony of Haiti is that the Haitian slaves go, this doesn't make any sense. If they start hearing about these ideas of the Enlightenment and they start hearing about how the French Revolution is happening, and they go, if the French are allowed to overthrow the people who rule them, why can't we do the same? So the French Revolution is a huge reason why the Haitian Revolution happens. The slaves of Haiti and the poor blacks and even some poor whites of Haiti go, we deserve the same freedoms and rights that the French people are themselves fighting for. Cool, we're going to pause here and go answer question 1. Go ahead and go. Hypothetically, you just answered question 1. We're going to go into what what actually happened during the revolution and its effects to the broader world. Part 1. The Haitian Revolution can kind of be split into 2 different mini revolutions. The first one is on the island itself. Here we see, once again, the poor of a society rising up against the rich. The initial revolution was against the slaves and the poor blacks, against the whites, particularly the plantation owners of Haiti, of Saint Domingo. Now, this revolution was very violent. The plantation owners knew and were very afraid of slaves taking over, and thus were very quick to violence. The Haitian slaves, thus, when they rose up, went, we need to get our revenge. One, there's revenge for the wrongs and the mistreatment they faced, but there's also a fear of that if they did not kill the plantation owners would regain power. So you saw widespread violence as slaves rose up, killed plantation owners, and killed people who basically had wronged them in the past. As the slaves took over the island, the French, of course, are not going to let that happen. This leads to our second part of the revolution. Our second part of the revolution is the revolution of the island against being ruled by France. The Haitian Revolution is led by a man named Toussaint Louverture. I cannot pronounce French very well, so you're going to see me post his name in his picture. Now, he led the slaves against freedom from France, the country. Really big deal. They want their full freedom. And the French, by this time led by Napoleon, do not want to give up Haiti. This is the island that is by far producing the most wealth through the growing of sugar. But in the end, the Haitians hold on, fight off the French, and eventually gain their freedom. The Haitian Revolution is the first slave revolt to succeed, and they now create their own country. Huge, which actually leads to our effects. So what are our effects? In the French Revolution, we saw that little had changed by the end of it. There were some new rights and some new beliefs. The biggest effect of the French Revolution was how the ideas of the Enlightenment spread. In the American, we saw how basically society stayed the same with some more freedoms and the idea of a representative democracy. In the Haitian Revolution, there was a lot of change. For one, broader effects. There's a huge amount of fear that spread thanks to the Haitian Revolution. American slave owners were afraid that their slaves would rise up. Colonies across the world were afraid that their slaves would rise up, knowing that this Haitian Revolution happened. So actually, one part of this Haitian Revolution was the fear it spread throughout slave owners and a harshening of conditions for slaves in response, as slave owners wanted to make sure no one was going to try to copy the Haitians. Second, the Haitian Revolution in the island, success and failures. There were both successes and failures when it came to how the revolution affected Haiti. First, some successes. All Haitian men were free. They gained rights. And overall, they were no longer slaves. Now, some failures. First, a representative democracy was never actually created in Haiti. Instead, Toussaint Louverture took over as emperor and decided he needed to rule Haiti and maintain power to protect Haitians themselves. His idea was kind of like Napoleon's. I'm protecting the revolution. I'm the one who needs to protect the people. And after the fall of Toussaint Louverture, other Haitians took over and did the same thing. They're either dictators or they're emperors, basically saying we need to control the island and maintain it with an iron fist. This also meant that some Haitians were in a really bad spot. There was this need. Haiti was destroyed by this revolution. Most of their agriculture was burned or destroyed. And so many people were forced to work on land as a way to just produce enough goods for Haiti. So some people faced really harsh working conditions. Last but not least, European countries in America were afraid of Haiti's success. If Haiti was able to succeed, then that means that what was the reason for controlling slaves? Because the argument was that Africans were often too dumb or were not able to rule themselves. If Haiti succeeded, that would go against all beliefs about Africans. This made it so that European countries in America turned against Haiti and tried to sabotage Haiti's success. Most famous example is the French, later on in the 1800s, told Haiti, you have a debt to pay to us. You have the debt to all of the wealth we lost and a debt to all the plantation owners whose lands you took. And put this huge debt on Haiti that if they did not pay, then France and France's allies would not trade with Haiti anymore. So Haiti faced this huge war debt that ruined their country and made it very difficult for them to succeed financially. Cool. We're going to pause here. You're going to answer question 2. Then we're going to go on to the Latin American Revolution. All right. Hypothetically, you've answered question 2, and now we're moving on to question 3 and 4, going into our part of the lecture about Latin American Revolution. Unless I forgot to put the N. That's fine. But it's Latin American Revolution, 1750 to 1800s. The reason I put the hundreds is that the Latin American Revolution is actually many little revolutions that happen over a period of decades. So there's no real end point because it continues for a long time. Cool. So first is context or background of the Latin American Revolutions. We have 2 things. First, the casta system. As a reminder, Latin America had a very unique social hierarchy based on race. We talked about before, so I'm not going to dive way into it, but remember at the top of the hierarchy was 2 specific groups. One was the Peninsulares, or those born in Spain or Europe. And the Creoles, European people of European descent born in the Americas. So it's Peninsulares, Creoles, and then everyone else. This caste system basically dedicated who had land and power. The Peninsulares and the Creoles had all the land and all the power and all the government positions, while the mixed people and Africans and natives at the bottom really didn't have much at all. Our second piece of context is mercantilism. The big thing to remember about mercantilism is that Latin America and all the areas of Latin America are colonies to Spain. And remember, under the ideas of mercantilism, colonies are only supposed to trade with the mother country, Spain. They're also only supposed to produce items that Spain wants them to produce. They're not supposed to have factories. They're not supposed to produce things that Spain wants to make. They are only supposed to produce cash crops and raw materials for Spain to use. Cool. Those restrictions are going to be very, very important. Restrictions on trade and restrictions on what can be made or created in Latin America. Cool. We're going to now pause. I know this is a really quick pause, but go ahead and make sure you answer this question about context. I want to make sure we understood those points. Pause and go ahead and answer that question. Hypothetically, was answered question 3. Now we're going into part 4, the revolution and its effects. So first, the revolution. The Latin American Revolution is caused first by other revolutions. The French Revolution and Haitian Revolution specifically scare Latin America. In the French and the Haitian, in both those revolutions, the lower class rose up against the upper class. This is very scary to the Creoles, who are afraid, as they are the smallest portion of the population, that the mixed people of Latin America and the Africans and the natives of Latin America will rise up and follow that lead. That the poor of Latin America are going to see what's happening in other revolutions and go, yep, we're going to do the exact same thing. Not only are the Creoles afraid of the lower class, they also have things that they want. The Creoles are tired of the Spanish telling them what to do, the Peninsulares. The Creoles want to have full control of Latin America. Not only that, they want economic freedom. Simón Bolívar, the leader of the Creoles, was one of the things he hated the most about colonial rule was about how they were restricted on trade and they were restricted about what they could create. And one big push of Latin America was that they needed to protect their property and their natural rights to trade and to do what they want. This led the Creoles, the upper class of Latin American society, to rise up in revolution against the Spanish. Now, how did they do this if they're afraid of the lower class? Well, one, the Creoles promised the lower class that they would get a lot of benefits from Creole rule and they would get rights and freedoms. So they made this promise, this false promise. What are the effects once this revolution happens? So Simón Bolívar leads many different Latin American peoples to freedom. And over time, from Mexico all the way down into Argentina and Chile and southern South America, Latin American countries gain their freedom. Now first, our basic effects of the social hierarchy. The social hierarchy doesn't change. The Creoles are going to be the ones who stay in power. They maintain the land. They maintain the governmental power. Very little about that changes. There are some attempts at democratic government, but overall, what it just means is that Creoles are elected into power, and Creoles are the ones who maintain their place in the social hierarchy. Economic future and separation. So remember, one big part of this revolution was Latin America wanted to make the things they wanted and basically have that freedom to trade with who they want. All well and good. But what happens is that the Creoles, when maintaining their power, remember, how do the Creoles make money? The Creoles make money through plantation agriculture, the growing of sugar primarily, but also other cash crops such as cotton, tobacco, and others. And so the way to maintain their economic power is to maintain this agricultural-based economy. So what happens is that the economic future, even though they're technically separated from Spain, Latin America is still heavily tied to America, the United States of America, and to Europe. Basically, Latin America is the place that Europe and America get their raw resources from. So Latin America does not create its own industry, really. You don't really see Latin America create a strong factory or manufacturing sector. Instead, Latin America becomes very heavily tied to making raw resources that they then trade to Europe. So they got that freedom, they could trade with who they want, but they're still based in the same style of economic activity, plantation agriculture. Cool, you're going to pause here to answer that last question, and then that's it for this lecture. Good job.